What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to have a little bit of a chat about Mavericks. You see, a few weeks back I did a video about the worst Mavericks in Keyforge, looking at cards that would make terrible Mavericks. And it was a fun video and it went down rather well and people seemed to like it, but there was one piece of feedback that I got on the video from several people, and that is, you know what, Wossy, this is fun, but we'd rather see actual Mavericks that were actually terrible in actual decks. And I thought, you know what? That is an excellent point. So today we're going to look at the worst Mavericks that I know have actually come up in actual decks. Now, unfortunately, only one of which I've actually got the deck list, boo, etc. But the other two, I've got the important context that matters. So starting off then, we should probably say what a Maverick is, shouldn't we? For those that don't know, a Maverick is a Keyforge card that turns up in the wrong house. Any card in Keyforge can turn up in any house, and if it's in the wrong house, it's a Maverick. So my boy Snufflegator comes along, he's an untamed creature, he will always be an untamed creature, unless he's a Maverick, at which point he can come in any of the other houses. Cool. So starting off then with Apiator, spawn of a long word which isn't fully on here. There we go, Petra Baron. I've no idea what that means. And the Maverick in point is a Tribune Pompitus. Now, Tribune Pompitus is a card that is uniquely suited towards a Saurian Republic. And on the face of it, it is one of those that could very often end up being a terrible Maverick. You see, one of the things that we can see about the Saurian Republic is that they love exalting. Exalting is where you take an amber from the common pool and put it on a creature. Now, generally this is a bad thing because when a creature is destroyed, any amber on it goes to the other player. So if you exalt and put amber on you, that's a very bad thing because your opponent can destroy you and take it back. But then you get creatures like Senator Shrix, for example, who can spend the amber on it as if it were in your pool, so you don't mind doing the exalting. Well, Tribune Pompitus comes in, 4 power, 2 armor, that's pretty decent. Each friendly creature gets +2 power for each amber on it. And before the fight, you may exalt Tribune Pompitus. Okay. The thing is, this is supposed to help the Saurian Republic. This is supposed to come around with Saurian Republic creatures and go, you know what? I got your back. Take something like Centurion Stenopius. 3 power, 2 armor. It gets +3 power for each amber on it, and when you play Fight or Reap, you may exalt it. Now, if you've got Tribune Pompitus in play, it gets +5 power for each amber on it and becomes a beast super quickly. The thing is, if we go back to the deck I showed you a minute ago, there's no exalting. There's not even any capturing. As a side note, the other way to get amber on you is to capture. That is where you take amber from the other player's pool and put it on your creatures. Again, they can get it back, but they can't always get it back. It's not always that easy. So essentially here, we've got a card which is phenomenal when you can put amber on your creatures in a deck with no way to put amber on your creatures. That's a bad thing, ladies and gentlemen. How about Tunk? I like Tunk. Tunk is a very fun card indeed. Tunk is one of them Mars cards, and I think I've made my love for Mars quite apparent on this channel, though logos really are coming up strong. Tunk, 6 power, 1 armor. After you play another Mars creature, fully heal Tunk. Cool. See, this is again a creature that does not lend itself to being a good Maverick, unless it's a Maverick in a deck which also plays Mars. And I don't have the deck list, unfortunately, but I'm assured that somebody on the group, the Facebook group, does have this in a non-Mars deck. So all of a sudden, you've got a 6 power, 1 armor creature that heals every time you play a creature the likes of which you definitely aren't playing. That is not a great idea. It's not a great example. It's not good, ladies and gentlemen. You don't get the healing. But here's the thing. It's still a 6 power, 1 armor creature. That is still a very beastly creature indeed. Means that if your opponent's trying to drop 1 damage here and there with cards like Whistling Darts, they're not gonna have a great time doing so. It's not gonna go terribly well for them. It means if they're trying to take it down, it's not gonna be very easy at all. And let's be clear, these 2 examples I've just given you, Tribune, Pompitus and Tunk, they are bad Mavericks because they have very specific skills which won't operate most of the time they come in as a Maverick, unless they happen to come in with the house they were originally in. But if a Saurian creature or a Mars creature coming in as a Maverick only works in a deck that also has Saurian Republic / Mars, you can see where we're going with this. Not an ideal situation. But you still got a 6 power 1 armor or a 4 power 2 armor. So although they're bad Mavericks because they're not giving you any extra tricks, they're actually inferior versions of their original cards, they're still alright. So what about Stilk-Kin? Stilk-Kin, now again, I'm afraid I don't have the deck list, but Stilk-Kin has come around in a Shadows deck. And you see, Stilk-Kin is a Brobnar creature, and it works very well in Brobnar decks. It is a 2 power, 0 armor creature with Skirmish. That is to say, when you start a fight, you don't take any damage in return. And after a giant creature is played adjacent to Stilk-Kin, you ready and fight with Stilk-Kin. Now again, remember it's got Skirmish, so you fight, you'll deal 2 damage to something, but not take any back because you've got Skirmish. You then play a giant next to it, and then you ready it, and then you get to fight, and you do 2 damage to something, but you don't take any back because you've got Skirmish. The thing is, Shadows is not a house with giants. Shadows isn't the giant's house. You know what is the giant's house? Brobnar. Brobnar is the giant's house. Brobnar is absolutely overflowing with giants. Think things like Lollop the Titanic. Think things like Ganger Chieftain. I'm not just going to sit here and start listing off giants in Brobnar. We could be here for some time. The point is that in a Brobnar deck, you're probably going to have a bunch of giants. And in a deck with a bunch of giants, Stilk-Kin is brilliant. Because what you can do is just sit there and use it over and over again, fighting constantly, taking advantage of Skirmish. And without any giants in the deck, it's still a 2 power 0 armor creature with Skirmish. But this is where my boy Snufflegator comes back in. Because Snufflegator is a 4 power 0 armor creature with Skirmish. And let's be clear, right? I adore Snufflegator because I've got a bearded dragon at home and he reminds me of him and I love him. But the thing is, Snufflegator is objectively a meh, it's alright kind of card. 4 power 0 armor Skirmish is not a bad card, but it's not a particularly good or inspiring card. It's not one we're desperate to pull for our decks. It's fine. It is pretty much the definition of fine. So if you give me essentially the same card but with half the power, it's half of a Snufflegator. And that's not something I want to think about. And just finally, here's a picture of a Brobnar Bad Penny. I'm not a huge fan of Bad Penny. Now, Bad Penny is such an interesting card. She actually got her own video. I'll pop a link in the description. But Bad Penny is a 1 power 0 armor creature, and when it's destroyed, it bounces back to your hand. And this can often be a bad thing. Because you see, when it's bounced back to your hand, you've now got 1 more card in hand, so at the end of the turn, you draw 1 less card. Now, if it's destroyed on your opponent's turn, and you don't choose Shadows, then it's a card in your hand that you can't play, so it's just clogging up your hand, meaning you draw 1 less. It's a very bad thing. And with it being a 1 power 0 armor creature an awful lot of the time, you put it down, nothing happens because you're exhausted, then your opponent destroys it, it goes back to your hand and clogs it up. There are some phenomenal combos here, like Seeker Needle, and Seeker Needle Bad Penny is phenomenal. Because you play Bad Penny down, it's exhausted, nobody cares. Seeking Needle lets you deal 1 damage to a creature, let's say Bad Penny. If it destroys a creature, which it will, you gain an amber. And then Bad Penny goes back to your hand and you can just play it down and Seeking Needle just gains you an amber. It's great. Bad Penny double Seeking Needle is phenomenal. But what's Bad Penny doing in a Brobnar deck? Brobnar is the fighty house. Brobnar is the house where you're supposed to sit there and do a bunch of damage and not reap very much, but just sit there and smash. A 1 power, 0 armor creature with no special skill other than, yay, I've gone back to my hand after being destroyed. No. No. We are not loving this at all. Just not even a little bit. Bad Penny is a bad Maverick. If you've got some kind of mechanic along the lines of Seeking Needle, yes. If you don't, no. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. You asked for some specific examples of specific bad Mavericks, and I thought I would come along and help you out. Oh, shout out to Ryan York for the Bad Penny picture. So now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to hear from you guys. Do you have any particularly bad Mavericks or particularly good Mavericks? I'd like to know. And if you are telling me about them, please pop at least the name of the deck in the description or in the comments so I can go and have a gander. Go nuts, but please remember the rule, would ya? Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and follow me on Twitter at the Wossy, where we talk Transformers, Keyforge, Final Fantasy, the new Digimon, TCG, a whole bunch of stuff. Come on over, the water's fine. And do please consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.